Hello, I'm Tom Hathaway, and I am currently wearing my BA hat, so let's talk business analysis. In this nugget, we're going to talk about requirements. What requirements are, what flavors they come in, and how that knowledge is going to help you when you are the one wearing the BA hat. What is a requirement? In the world of business analysis, a requirement defines a feature that a future solution has to enable, such as cloud access, a function that a future solution has to execute, like calculate savings, a fact that a future solution has to enforce, i.e. IRS regulation XYZ, or a quality that a future solution has to exhibit, as in access to a file in 1 second. Requirements are the foundation upon which information systems are built, and, just like a building, if the foundation is not solid, the building will not stand. Fundamentally, a requirement is how we communicate what the builders or buyers of the solution need to build or buy. This gets us fully into the world of human communication with all its misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and misrepresentations. Finally, what requirements are depends to some degree on the software development methodology, or SDM, that your organization uses, and where in the development lifecycle you are. In an Agile SDM, requirements are fundamentally negotiable, whereas in a traditional, Waterfall or Iterative SDM, changes are only allowed within a rigorous change management process. To reduce the problems of communication between those who want a solution and those who can provide it, the International Institute for Business Analysis, or IIBA, in its Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, BABOK, defines 4 fundamental types of requirements. Business requirements define the goals and objectives that the organization as a whole strives to achieve. Stakeholder requirements are the specific needs and wants of groups or individuals within the organization. Solution requirements are the functions and qualities that a solution has to encompass to be accepted. Transition requirements define attributes and actions necessary to implement the new solution in the existing organization.